Hi, everyone, and thank you for those that have joined our Alto Insider session, 27th of April. So this session comes to you every month on the last Thursday of the month. Today, we've got our special guests, which are Goodlord. So we're going to be looking at our Alto and Goodlord integration that has recently kicked off. So let's just take you into the agenda today. We are going to be looking at an introduction to Goodlord. Who are they? What do they do? And what efficiencies can they make within your agency? We're going to look at how that integration works between Alto and Goodlord and give you a live demonstration, providing Tom's audio holds up okay. Otherwise, Ross, it's all over to you to save the day. And then that will give you an opportunity to submit your questions. And while you're submitting your questions, we're going to give you a sneak peek into a new listings journey that's just been released into Alto. You've got myself, James Dolan. We've also got Ross, head of sales here at Goodlord, on the call. And then we've got Tom, sales team lead at Goodlord, who hopefully his audio holds firm. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to both Ross and Tom, who are going to take us into Goodlord and give us an overview of who they are and what they do. So over to you guys.
Fab. Thanks, James. And thanks, everybody, for joining this morning. Yeah, fingers crossed Tom's audio does work because there is no backup plan here. This is the thing with live webinars. So, yeah, let's kick off with giving you a little bit more of an idea as to what we do at Goodlord. Hopefully, lots of you are familiar with us. Hopefully, lots of you are already customers and you're dying to learn a little bit more about how this new integration works and the benefits to your business. So, next slide, please, James.
Problem.
So as a group, we are no longer a startup. We're a well-established business, one of the leading suppliers in the lettings industry now. Over 300 employees across the Goodlord Group, which includes Goodlord and Vouch. We support over 350,000 tenancies each year with a combined rental value of £4.5 billion processed through the platform each year, and over 3,000 agency brands that we work with throughout the UK. So what is the problem that we solve for? Obviously, every estate agent has a property management system such as Alto, but the problem really is lots of additional tools that agents need to rely on to manage the rental transaction. And if you add these tools up, many agents are using around about 8 additional suppliers, such as referencing, e-signing, payments tools, utilities suppliers, to manage that move-in, move-out process. And many of the issues that this thing creates, James, if you wouldn't mind, is poor visibility throughout the journey. Lots of duplication points. Again, if you're using 8 sort of different suppliers that maybe aren't linking up into your property management system, you're of course having to duplicate the information into the system, and when you've completed the task, duplicate the information back into your property management system. And every time you're doing that, of course, this opens up the opportunity for human error. And as we all know, that can then lead on to compliance risks. And the consequences of doing nothing means that many agents, certainly most agents we speak to at the moment, are all trying to acquire businesses and grow, but that actually hampers growth because it means that you need to hire more administrators to manage the process. It also means working with lots of suppliers. Inevitably, that's going to lead to higher supplier costs. And finally, quite a disjointed journey for customers if they are interacting with many third parties, lots of which don't actually carry your agency brand. So this is the solution that Goodlord provides for. So next slide there. Thank you, James. So we work alongside of Alto. We have, in fact, an amazing integration with Alto. So you use Alto exactly the same way that you do now for all your marketing, to manage your database, for property management. But when it comes to the rental transaction, this is where you can utilize the integration that we have from the moment that you're trying to instruct a new landlord and you're trying to draw up your terms of business. And then you go out on your viewing and you're looking to take offer letters, holding deposits, conduct your referencing process, complete the move-in monies process, organize utilities, right the way through to renewing your tenancy. That's where Goodlord are the transaction specialists, almost a sort of one-stop lettings transaction stop. And just moving on again, sorry, James. We just touching on Vouch as well. We offer 2 referencing solutions. Again, of course, we manage a lot more of the process than just referencing, but we offer up 2 referencing solutions, and Vouch, our sister business, offers a light integration with Alto. So if you are an agent right now that's suffering from service levels with your existing referencing supplier and you have an immediate need for a referencing solution, then you can benefit from our Vouch integration with Alto. But if you are really looking to try and overhaul your pre-tenancy process and gain significant time savings and efficiencies and remove compliance risk out of the process, then the Goodlord journey is the one that you want to be exploring. I'm going to hand back to James and Tom now, who are going to give you a sneak peek of how this integration works.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to kick things off, and what we're going to do is going to take you into Alto, and we're going to start a tenancy. When I say start a tenancy, I'm going to make an offer, get that offer into a progression stage, and then that's going to come across then over to Tom, who's then going to kick things off. So as I head into Alto, currently got a property that's available, actively being marketed at 55 Broome Road. And we've just had an application come in. So within the Alto platform, we can come in and we can start making an offer. At this point, we can search for our applicant, who is Willow Patterson, and we can start to enter the offer amount. At this stage, I can now accept that offer and I can start to populate the start date. They're looking to move in August, so I'm going to populate the start date, the term, and decide what I want to do with this property. Put this now as let agreed, or continue to market this property until, again, holding deposits come in and referencing is passed. Quite simply, I can now save that information. I don't need letters. I'm going to rely on Goodlord now to start producing all my administration and all my letters. But that property will now start moving to a potential let agreed. And we now have a proposed tenancy. So within this Alto database, we've got a property that's now let agreed. We've got a potential tenant, which is Willow. We have a tenancy that is now in progression, as I click into the correct one, with a proposed start date and a rental amount. This is now where I'm going to hand over to Tom, and Goodlord will start to take over the rest of this transaction. So if I just stop sharing, Tom, and you can start to share your screen.
Okie doke. Can you give me a thumbs up, James, when you can see my screen?
I will do. It's saying starting to share screen, but it's currently black. So again, the beauty of going live.
It did work in rehearsals.
It did. It certainly did. Do you want to stop and try again? Because I think last time we it was the lucky start, stop, start, stop. There we go. Second time.
Perfect.
But here we are. We're now in the Goodlord platform, and all over to you, Tom.
Cool. Thank you. So yeah, we've obviously just received an offer and added that into Alto. And this is where we kind of pick up the point of the deal at quite a kind of a critical point, because this is where you've got to do lots of things to get the property off the market. Typically, agents will take a holding deposit. You've got to get some money from tenants. You've got to get some offer letters signed and some terms and conditions perhaps. You've obviously got to get referencing started as quickly as possible, and there are compliance procedures that you've got to do at this stage as well, and all of this stuff has to happen really, really quickly. So this is actually a really good example of where having to log into 4 different systems can actually hold you up quite a lot. Those 4 systems will look like your CRM to generate the letters and invoices. You've got to get perhaps an e-signing tool set up, those documents into that e-signing tool. You've obviously got to log into online banking to check that payment actually has been made and received. And also you're logging into a referencing platform and duplicating that information there. With this Alto and Goodlord integration, we can get rid of all of that. So we create a lot of efficiencies at this stage as well as the rest of the journey. And we can also kind of eradicate the compliance risks here as well. So what we would do once we've added the offer onto the Alto platform, we can find the property and find Willow Patterson here and import this deal into the Goodlord platform. So it will pull over the property details, the landlord details, the tenancy details, so everything what you've already agreed, which will populate down here. And also in a second, you'll see the tenant details can be pulled in as well. Part of this will be selecting which contracts you use, and just as an FYI, we can provide you with ASTs as part of our compliance procedures. And once you've made sure your terms, or you're happy with all your terms, you can import the tenants. So again, Willow Patterson here, and any related housemates or people that Willow's going to be living with, we can import as well. The system also makes it really, really easy to add guarantors, whereas a guarantor would typically add a number of different steps into your process, where you've got to get the guarantors, put them onto the referencing portal, create a guarantor agreement, get all of that signed up. It's lots of extra steps. All of that can be done just by adding a guarantor down here, and the Goodlord system will actually do all of that for you. So once you've imported the tenants, you would contact them. And this is where we can start to do all of the really exciting stuff, like getting money and so on. So if I hop over to my emails here, that is what it would mean for your team to set up a deal. It's really, really quick. What I'm going to show you now is the tenant journey. As Ross pointed out, not only is this quite a bumpy and disjointed journey for agents and people doing this work, but actually the customer journey is all over the place. They're also visiting those multiple systems that we mentioned earlier. So as a tenant, Willow's going to get an email from you. We would always attach the relevant compliance documents, so how to rent guides, and importantly, a draft copy of the tenancy agreement. And it's going to ask Willow here to set up her offer. So what you'll find in the platform is we get the tenants to confirm they've had the draft agreement, a very important compliance step. We'll collect any contact details that you might not have already. And in here, we're doing 2 really important steps, which is to get your offer letter or terms and conditions signed, which outlines why a tenant is paying you guys some money and what the terms of the offer are. We collect a signature, and really importantly here, we would take a card payment from a tenant for a holding deposit. Now, again, if you think about this in your process today, there is literally no way of making sure that when a tenant pays a holding deposit, they sign your paperwork. So if something goes pear-shaped down the line, there is the risk of things going wrong there. With this, we link these 2 things together. So whenever you take money, you get the offer letter signed. And when the tenant confirms this step, we skip out the part of your process where you would normally have to check with accounts to make sure the money's come in, check to make sure the paperwork's been signed, and then go onto a referencing portal, duplicate the information, and start referencing. Forget all of that. We've got everything that we need in the platform here, and we can take the tenant straight through to referencing. And that means that everything's done up front. You've only had to log into one system actually, and all of these steps can be completed. Now, just as a quick FYI, this is a two-way integration as well. So whilst we can pull information over, at the end of the journey, you'll also benefit from us being able to find the other compliance documents, so EPC, gas safety, and EICR, and pull them over to be sent out with the contract. Plus, at the end of the journey, we can add back onto Alto the signed agreements, the reference reports, and everything you need to complete the tenancy. So that's it from a sort of a sneak peek point of view. I'll hand over to back to James.
Yeah, I'm just going to take that screen back. So as Tom mentioned, as we now come back into Alto, I've now got my finalized tenancy here. Willow has now moved in to 55 Broom Road. And as mentioned, I've now got my signed agreement and my ref reports and all my documents set up, and we are now good to go. So coming back to the Goodlord team here, they're just going to now talk us through 4 of those key benefits of using Goodlord, and again, this Alto integration.
Cool. Thanks, James. Thanks, Tom. There's loads of benefits of this integration, but where do our customers see the most amount of value? Well, of course, this is all about efficiency gains. No agent likes to have to duplicate information for all the reasons that we've already discussed. But for the average agent, this integration will consolidate around 5 of the current suppliers that you're already using to manage this process in addition to Alto, or the other property management system you might be using. I'm aware there's lots of prospects on this call that don't even use Alto or Goodlord today. So if you're doing on average 150 move-ins and we can consolidate 5 of your current suppliers, what does that mean to you? Well, in terms of duplication, that adds up to around 60 steps of duplication removed for every tenancy. The 150 move-ins, that's 9,000 steps of duplication removed for you every single year. Compliance, there are 37 compliance steps that we will either completely remove or mitigate against. And again, 150 move-ins a year, what does that mean for you? That's 5,500 compliance steps that we would remove from your business every single year. The secondary benefits here, I suppose, are there's a lot of different ways in which you can generate revenue from this partnership as well. And appreciate not everybody has confidence in generating revenue, because it means that you have to rely on your staff going out there having conversations around utilities and insurance products, and that isn't the primary role of a letting agent. This is another benefit of having a succinct journey with Alto and Goodlord, is that you can allow the process and the platform which carries your brand to have these conversations on behalf of your letting agency staff. And that means that you have a much better opportunity to attach additional products throughout the lettings process to both landlords and tenants. So just moving on to the next slide. We have now got over 120 agents that have either signed up to use this integration now or are already live. And again, aware that there's lots of people here that aren't yet using Alto, or you might not be using Goodlord, or you might be existing customers for both and you just want the integration turned on. Please get in touch with both businesses depending on your requirements, and we can look how to support you. That's everything from us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Tom. Right, what we're going to move into now is we're going to allow you to start submitting some questions. we're going to start preparing to answer those questions, but while they're being submitted, we're just going to take you into a quick new listings journey within Alto, why those questions are coming in. So we've made some changes in the way that you now list a property. So if I head into properties and into Knight Street, I'm now preparing to remarket this home here. Currently on the market, it was on the market, it's been suspended, and we're now going to remarket that property. So we now have a new button to publish that property to the portals. And as I now action that, this will now take me into a workflow. It will start to show me my listing, give me a gallery view of how this will be presented on the portals. It will give me an overview of what this will look like on portals and through my advertising. And also show me if I'm missing any steps. If I'm missing a floor plan or a virtual tour or any maps, it will highlight this and drive me back into Alto to ensure this property is being marketed to its full capacity. At that stage, I can now go into my portal publishing settings and will start to ask me what websites I want to go and advertise this on. As I select those websites, I can choose if I want to delay that by hours or by days. And if I'm happy, I can now update that and send that property now off to the portals and start the marketing. So as I now draw myself back into the Alto platform, we can now start to see that that property will become available on the market and start to be advertised. Again, for any questions, reach out to us around this new portal publishing, but hopefully that's given you enough time to start submitting some questions. So we're now going to start to answer those for you. So Tom, Ross, can you add any special requirements on the offer, i.e. sofa removed or professional clean to take place? And I suppose this actually sits at two areas really. Within Alto, there is a section to start adding in special information, part of the offer, fixtures, fittings, or keynotes. But likewise, I suppose in the Goodlord platform, are there areas to add that information in so it drops into ASTs or into certain clauses that you're building out within your documentation?
I'll take that one if you like. Yes, absolutely, you can do. There's a couple of different ways of doing it. So there's a free type box where you can add in some sort of customized or bespoke clause. You can also really easily add in more standard clauses like break clauses, pets clauses, that type of thing. And we can also have it so that as a company, you can set up a selection of clauses that you predetermine that your staff can use, and they can select those particular clauses from a drop-down box. So that anything that you add into the platform there will go onto offer letters and also onto the ASTs as well.
Brilliant. I've got another question here from Lisa. She's asked, who underwrites the rent and legal protection, and is there any excess to pay?
I'll take that one because that's nice and easy. Thanks, Lisa. It's underwritten by our partner DAS, and it is a nil excess policy. It's one of the leading policies in the market today, actually. So I'd say just on that too, if this is something that you are already good at positioning with landlords, then great. There's going to be benefits to looking at the level of cover that we offer. Or if it's something that you don't do yet and you're looking for support on how best to position this with landlords, then most definitely get in touch with us. Even if you become a customer or not, we have some really, really great techniques to help position this with landlords and achieve some really great conversions.
Brilliant. Got a question here submitted by an unnamed user, but it says, you mentioned AST, but do you have any plans or anything in place currently for Wales documentation, or Welsh, I should say, to pronounce it correctly?
Yes, we do. Sorry, that was I should have been more broad there. But yes, we have occupational contracts set up and the full Welsh legislative process built into the platform as well. So depending on the property postcode, the system will determine whether it's a Welsh property, an English property, or actually a Scottish property, and change accordingly.
Brilliant. I've got one here that says from Jill, we are already with Alto and Goodlord. Will this integration move back documentation for current landlords and active tenancies, i.e. their certificates, gas safeties, EPCs? I'm going to assume that we're only doing it for the ones that are now importing that are working through the platform. So I'm going to say it's going to be for those that you're now starting in Alto and then moving into that journey into Goodlord, unless I'm missing information.
No, that's yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, no, there wouldn't really be much value actually in it coming into Goodlord until you are trying to action a new tenancy or a renewal.
Victoria, how would this work for renewals?
Great question, Victoria, and conscious of time, and probably not going to do a very good job of answering that in 60 seconds. So please get in touch and we'll show you exactly how the process works for tenancy renewals. But we can support you with tenancy renewals as well as new tenancies.
Brilliant. And then I've got a question from James, not me. Do you have a set list of what would be considered the minimum steps for setting up a tenancy?
Well, I suppose if I've understood that question correctly, James, that's again, I suppose depending on the requirements of the tenancy you're trying to set up, it can be as simple as a tenancy can be. But going back to somebody's other question, if you've got a tenancy which requires lots of special clauses, then you're in control of adding that criteria to the tenancy that you're creating. But it could be as simple or as complex as the tenancy is that you're trying to create.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We have got a number of other questions, but like I say, we are running short on time. So we will take those questions back, come back to you and answer those via calls or emails. We're also going to just pop up a quick poll for you as well, which we're going to launch on the screen. Leave that open for a moment of time for you to fill in. But I'd like to thank both Ross and Tom for their time today. Again, really slick integration that the Alto engineering team and Goodlord team have put together. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And likewise, if you want to start activating that integration, your current Alto and Goodlord customer, head into Alto tools in our integration section, and you can start to submit your details across to us. Otherwise, yeah, thank you everyone for attending. And yeah, big thank you to Tom and to Ross this morning.
Thanks very much for hosting us, and thanks everyone for joining.